All right, our white cameraman is trying to swagger over there with the camera. Swagger, it's like swagger with a little more flavor.
And I'm quoting that he thought that he had a very good chance of winning. He said, a light-skinned African-American with no Negro dialect unless he wanted to have one.
Maybe it is kind of one of these things you're not supposed to say. But there is just, you can go from Billy D. Williams to Shaft to whoever you want to talk about. There's just a bit of a, like we said, a swagger sometimes that people...
There's really a bunch of different dialects, really. I mean,
it's more your background, where you were born, how your parents speak. That's that kind of general thing.
Usually people that, a person grows up around influences how someone speaks. Or me, I grew up in South Texas, so I'm more informal than most. But that was just the way I was raised, really.
Nothing wrong with it. I have one. They'd say I have a speech problem because I have an accent. It's like, hey, it's part of my heritage,
Can't hear because I'm used to people speaking regular, so but if you go somewhere else, you got an accent. Like when they come down here, like somebody from Southern come to the Midwest, they got an accent, but when they back at home, they sound regular, so I guess everybody has their accent.
What type of
Speak slang, like a slang dialect. Like where I'm from in Wichita, we got a little different dialect, like what up, boy? What you getting into? Okay, on the rallies of my mama. Okay, most people can't understand that. Like, okay, what you doing? Okay, we always say okay on the rallies of my mama, but some people can't understand me when I talk. But I think we got like a slang. Most black people have a slang dialect that they communicate with each other with.
I would say most of them speak standard English to slang English.
No.
Yes, ain't is a word, and it is in my dictionary.
Like ain't, I think ain't is a word, but because if you know what the meaning of the word means, most people know ain't is like it's not or whatever. So if it's ain't, it's a word to me. Because if you understand what I'm meaning, it's a word. Words have meaning, so it's a word.
No, I was taught that ain't isn't a word.
And what do you think?
I use it once in a blue moon, but I really don't have a position on that. I mean, some people say it is, some say it isn't. It's in the dictionary, but nah, it's just one of those loaded questions. You really can't answer it right.
Ebonics. I think Ebonics is in our language now, and it's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, actually. I think Ebonics is a good thing for people to have.
I think sometimes people overuse it, especially when you're talking on the internet. People use, like you and you are and things like that, or they spell things incorrectly. I think that just in my mind drives me crazy. But I think just in casual conversation, it's not a huge deal. But in a professional setting, I definitely know people look down upon Ebonics, especially.
I think that at least they're trying to speak some English. Some of it is hard for them because my daughter's married to a Hispanic, and it's hard for me to understand his parents sometimes. But I understand they try because they mess up on words.
It's hard to understand them. They
try.
They try, but it's hard to understand them. Well, I think that they should learn how to speak English.
They try.
They try, but they need to learn to speak English.
They're over here, yeah.
I think if you're going to be in America, you should speak the language we speak. Just like if we were to go to Mexico, we'd have to speak Mexican. Spanish, sorry.
Well, they know that I'm not an English speaker, so sometimes they are really tolerant with me and they use standard words or standard sentences, so I can understand everything. And I realize that sometimes they don't use slang words, because sometimes we don't know what they mean, so they use mostly they use a standard language, and yeah, they talk slow for us.
Do you feel like if they're from a different country, I know it's going to be hard coming over here to learn the English or to communicate with each other, but I feel if there are over here, or you from international, you should learn how to speak English because it's the main language in this country, so to be able to communicate with somebody, they should learn the English language.
I wouldn't really say that they need to conform because I think that's part of their, individuality, but I think that it probably would help to, add more intellectual standpoint to them from when they're, doing public speaking or talking to people that, maybe don't know their background or culture. I think it would probably, benefit them to, speak more standard English, just as a whole population.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of.
I don't really know what standard English is, to be honest with you, so I'm going to go with no.
Ian, what do you think about?
They don't speak very good. They talk too high and mighty, some of them do, and some of them talk, more appropriate, like instead of, we say, what's that word we always say? Ain't, and ain't's not in the, they say it's not in the vocabulary. It's like, it is in my vocabulary. I would say ain't.
I would say most of them would probably speak more standard English, but I think they use their own type of slang. I think there's a difference between, any different races, like whether it's an international student or someone that's black or someone that's white or Hispanic. I think they all have their own slang terms. So I would say, the majority of white people are going to speak standard English, but have their own version of slang that's going to be different from other races.
Most white people speak proper English, like without slang, try to pronounce all their words to the best degree that they can, without no slang, without nothing that like just pronounce it right like it should be.
What do you think? Speaking English.
I have been studying English since high school, like for 5 years, but I didn't speak it by then. So speaking English, I guess, like 5 years ago. Yeah.
Since you've been
like for international students or people who are not from an English speaker country, I guess they use standard English, but I don't think so. They use it for maybe between English speakers. So, yeah.
Thank you.
This is how white folks will describe it. They don't have a black dialect. He basically said he's not going to scare white people, and he doesn't always sound like he's black.